You probably don't worry about getting too close to supersonic speeds in your piston engine GA aircraft, but as you transition to faster jets that fly in the flight levels, you'll typically fly close enough to the speed of sound where you need to focus on it. In general aviation aircraft, we're used to thinking of speed in terms of knots indicated or true airspeed. The airspeed indicator reads out limitations like stall speed and never exceed speed in knots, or sometimes miles per hour. In a jet, those limitations aren't relevant at high speeds and altitudes, because long before you'll reach never exceed speed, you'll hit what's called the critical Mach number. Your Mach number is a ratio of how fast you're flying in true airspeed relative to the speed of sound in the air you're flying through. Mach 1 is the speed of sound. Anything below Mach 1 is subsonic speed. Sound travels in a wave through air. Warmer air molecules move faster and thus transmit sound waves faster, so the speed of sound in warmer temperatures like close to sea level is relatively high. If we're traveling at a certain true airspeed, where the speed of sound is high, our Mach number will be relatively low. In colder air, like at high altitudes, the same true airspeed will give us a higher Mach number. We're closer to the speed of sound, not because we're flying faster, but because the speed of sound is lower. Of course, airliners are not supersonic aircraft. They fly below Mach 1, but even approaching the speed of sound can be dangerous. An airliner in cruise flight is fast enough to start catching up to its own sound waves. This compresses the sound waves in front of the aircraft. Over the wing, the airflow can get to a point where it actually exceeds Mach 1. At that specific point above the wings, we'll have caught up with those sound waves and they'll compress into a boundary between the supersonic air above the wings and the still subsonic air around the rest of the aircraft. Like any interaction of air at different speeds and directions, this will create a drag effect on the aircraft, affecting performance and its ability to maintain speed. So airliners have a maximum Mach number, which is why we reference Mach instead of indicated or true airspeed when in faster flight. Now, because the speed of sound decreases as we get higher and the air gets colder, the same true airspeed gets us closer to our maximum Mach number. The higher we get, the slower we'll need to fly through the air to avoid hitting that maximum. Now, here's the catch. Remember stall speeds? They don't go away up in the flight levels. Even though the indicated airspeed we'll stall at remains the same in 1G flight no matter the outside conditions, the true airspeed that corresponds with it gets higher the higher up we fly. So now what's happening is our true airspeed is kind of getting boxed in. As we get higher, we can't speed up too much or we'll hit our maximum Mach number, and we can't slow down too much or we'll reach a critical stall angle of attack. This zone is called Coffin corner, and it gets smaller the higher up we fly. In the Airbus A320, we can get a great visualization of Coffin corner. Let's have a look at the PFD inside the cockpit. We're climbing through 8,000 feet, a relatively low altitude for the airliner. We're at 250 knots indicated airspeed. The true airspeed is read out as 281 knots. What we'll see is that as air gets thinner, the same indicated airspeed yields a higher true airspeed. We have to fly faster through the air to ram the same amount of air molecules, which are more diffuse now, through the pitot tube to give us the same indicated airspeed. What the Airbus has on its airspeed tape is a band called alpha protection. Here it's shown as starting at a speed of around 225 knots and below. It's not a stall speed per se, but it triggers some stall avoidance procedures to prevent the aircraft from exceeding its critical angle of attack. So it is directly related to how the aircraft's stall speed moves up and down. We don't want to fly below that alpha protection. As we climb through 10,000 feet, we'll accelerate to 300 knots indicated, and we see that alpha protection disappear as we're now well faster than it. Around this time, the aircraft's Mach number becomes visible. To start out, we're at about half the speed of sound. This calculation is based primarily on the true airspeed and outside air temperature, which determines the speed of sound. As we get faster, the Mach number increases, but as we get higher and the speed of sound goes down, the Mach number also increases. Our true airspeed increases in thinner air, and the local speed of sound is decreasing in colder air, both of which cause our Mach number to increase. As we get into the flight levels and our Mach number creeps above 0.7, what eventually happens is we begin to see another limitation indicated on the tape. These red bars start to appear. Sometimes it's called a barber pole because on other systems and other aircraft they resemble that. This limitation is based on our maximum Mach number. At around flight level 280, we reach Mach 0.77, a good climb speed. Remember that as we get higher, true airspeed increases and speed of sound decreases allow us to fly a slower indicated airspeed to maintain this Mach number. So we start to creep down on the airspeed tape. We're not getting any further away from maximum Mach though, those red bars are still there. As our indicated airspeed slows, we are however getting closer to stall speed, and eventually we see the alpha protection bar coming back. We continue the climb. We're going to go up to flight level 360, and we see that our speed is getting boxed in between the maximum Mach number of the red bars on top and the alpha protection from a low speed event at the bottom. This is the Coffin corner, and it's closing in on us as we get higher. Notice our Mach number hasn't changed at all. By the time we reach our cruise of flight level 360 and level off, the Coffin corner gives us about 15 or 20 knots of margin. If we speed up, the wing could go supersonic and have controllability problems. If we slow down, our angle of attack gets too high and we'll also have some controllability problems. Any turbulence will jostle our airspeed and we need to be laser focused on it to prevent an upset, a very stressful place to be. The flight computer on the Airbus can actually call out where this danger zone is. It gives us an optimum cruise, flight level 355, which we're above, and a maximum cruise, flight level 364, where we're almost at. Above this level, the Coffin corner would be so small we probably couldn't maintain stable flight. The A320 is typically rated for cruise up to flight level 390, so what's preventing us from getting up there is our weight. If we magically burn off some payload and fuel weight, our optimal and maximum cruise go up. The lower weight has moved our stall speed lower, and the Coffin corner becomes larger. Flight is more comfortable at lower weights. Sometimes you'll see for this reason a staggered climb where a lower initial cruise is used until enough fuel is burned off that an airliner can climb to a higher final cruise and not worry about the Coffin corner as much. If we made the weight much higher, that alpha protection goes up as we're now closer to stall speed and a low speed event. The automation might take over here and work to lower our angle of attack. Coffin corner is tiny now, we'll have to accelerate to keep up. We dive into concepts of Mach number in our commercial ground school, as well as all the maneuvers and topics you'll need to know. Check it out today at the link here and in the description.